What is going on, guys? My name is Dustin. Welcome back to the channel. 2 videos in one day. I know, it's unheard of for me, but I'm joined by my buddy Sean. This is Sean. You can say hello to
Hello,
Sean.
everybody.
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
So, Sean is a great supporter and friend of mine, who we just met pretty recently, probably over the last couple months. Um, and I had this idea for this series, and I got the idea from my buddy Trav, who does like a little talk show podcast thing. So I kind of wanted to take that idea, sorry Trav, but put my own spin on it. So Sean and I are going to like tag team a house together, or just whatever we decide to build, and just kind of talk. Sean actually has a very interesting life, in my opinion, and he's going to talk about some of his trials and tribulations through life, and I think you guys are really going to like it. I will have different people on throughout the series and just talk about whatever, but I wanted Sean to be my first guest, so I'm pretty excited to have him. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, brother.
Okay, so do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself? And
Yeah, sure. Um, well, I'm originally from County Cork, Ireland. Um, while over there, I was a football player, goalie, pretty much. Was in the Garda. Um, I retired from the Garda in '99 after being hit head on by a drunk driver.
oh wow.
I lost my peripheral vision, so at that point I was unable to drive anymore. Um, so that was kind of a major blow, and after sitting on a desk for 3 years after that, I just finally decided, okay, I'm ready to retire.
Right.
Um, so, um, in 2003, I finally popped over to the United States, and I've been over here ever since. I lived in North Carolina for a while, and while I was in North Carolina, when I was 39 years old, I started noticing a kind of weird tremor in my right hand, and I didn't exactly know what it was. Um, and I went over to my family doctor, and he told me, he's like, hey, I think this is what I'm thinking it might be. And he said it might be Parkinson's, and I'm like, yeah, you're shitting me, right?
Right.
And he's like, he's like, no, I'm not actually. And I'm like, okay. So he did a few more things, to kind of see if he was right. And I'll kind of back up a minute. With Parkinson's, it's one of those tests there's no blood work that you can go and stick a needle in your arm, get a blood test, and say you've got Parkinson's. Um, there is a diagnostic test called a DAT scan. You lay on a table pretty much for about 3 to 4 hours, and they put this special radio active um, material in you, and it basically tests the dopamine inside your head, well, in the brain actually, and it's what it does is it determines how much dopamine you have. So with Parkinson's people, dopamine's very small. To a normal person, it'll be blown up. So I had my dopamine done, and it came back that I had very little dopamine. So that right away was the indication of, that they can confirm for real that it was Parkinson's. And my life changed after that.
Right.
Um, it pretty much. Are you gonna go right here? Oh,
I'm not
right
sure.
there.
I'm kind of going for like a modern house type of look right now.
Okay. Just
Well,
let me know what you want me.
yeah.
So I ended up going to another neurologist, and he definitely finally confirmed that it was Parkinson's. So I'm 45 now, and my Parkinson's, it's taken a pretty bad toll on me. Um, I started being a firefighter in early 2012. and had to retire from that officially 2 years ago. And that was the hardest thing to do because I enjoyed both A, being a cop, and B, being a firefighter. I love helping people. I love giving to the community.
Right. Yeah.
And to be, and to be told by your neurologist, hey, I've got some news. You cannot fight fire anymore because your Parkinson's has progressed to the point where you can't do it. It's not safe for you anymore. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, understandably so. I mean, to, to do something you love and to just have it taken away from you and, at the blink of an eye, I would imagine is a very terrible experience. And, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but, you
Thank you.
seem to be taking your situation and making the best of it, which I find absolutely incredible.
Thanks. There are days where it's very tough,
Right.
and I just feel like, okay, what else are you going to throw at me? You know?
Right. I'm sure it's
um,
very tough. I'm sure it's something that you really never necessarily get used to.
no, it's not. And in my, because 2 years ago I literally was able to walk like you today.
Right.
Now I barely walk. I can barely shuffle, pretty much. So, I've told a lot of people here recently that I'm getting a power chair, to kind of make my life easier, which I get that on Friday. I just found out today.
Well, that's
Um,
good news.
so it is new. It is good news, yeah. So it's actually, are you using the quartz here?
This is snow.
Oh, that's a snow. Okay,
Yeah. Yep.
cool. I like that. Um, so it's gonna definitely make my life a lot easier. Um, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
um, but having Parkinson's, and on top of the Parkinson's, you already know, but most people probably don't know. I also have PTSD on top of that. Um, just because of the fact that some of the things that I have endured, while as a cop and both, being a firefighter, it kind of, um, left me with some visions that I don't really like anymore. Um,
Right.
Everyone says, "Oh well, only veterans get PTSD," and it's not true.
That's not the case at
Anybody
all.
can get PTSD. It's not. Anybody can get PTSD. Um, it's one of those ones that anyone who's suffered a traumatic event in their life or seen a traumatic event in their life could end up getting it.
Right.
So,
And I'll admit it
for
here.
me, yeah, go ahead.
Um,
Uh-huh.
I actually suffer from PTSD and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
had a friend the year I graduated high school, right after I got out of high school. He took his own life. And
Mm.
unfortunately, it happened over a video call that I was a part of. And it is something
Ah,
that has stuck with me and will stick with me for as long as I live. It's terrifying.
sure. Yeah. And I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's terrible.
yeah, yeah. I've, um, depression here recently has really hit me hard.
Right.
With my PTSD and my Parkinson's. Um, there was something that happened the other night, which I won't really, about, but
Right.
I'll keep that one just private. But, um, it's rough. It's rough, and, as I like that, as a firefighter, I saw so many things, but I helped so many people as well.
Right.
Um, in my cop days, you know, that's pretty much, nonstop action there.
Oh yeah.
So, and each call is different. Even as a firefighter, each call is different because no house fire is the same.
Right.
So, I um I definitely loved the challenge that I had though while I was doing both police and fire. Being in the emergency services, you kind of get a great gratification when you can help people, but then there's that time when you can't help them that you really feel helpless and you wish that you could have done more.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize, that, oh, okay, they just think, well, they lost somebody, they can just go back and they'll be all right. Eh, it's not like that. The last actual call that I worked as a firefighter for an emergency call was a hit and run.
Oh wow.
And, to see a young woman there on the road, that hits home to me. And that is actually one of my PTSD triggers. When I see accidents now, I
Right.
relive my accident, but then I'm also reliving her. And so that vision is constantly in my head. The
Yeah.
road that it happened on, the road that it happened on, Dustin, I can't pass that road anymore. I have to avoid that area completely.
That's awful. And that's part of the
Yeah.
reason why I wanted to bring you on is, you know, like again, I feel like you can kind of, with your experiences shed light on a lot of this stuff and kind of help people maybe understand a little bit better about Parkinson's and about, life and just how crazy things can be, you know?
Yes.
I feel like, and I've talked about this before on my channel, I feel like with being a content creator that there's this kind of this stigma that, like, oh, they live the perfect life, they don't experience trauma, they don't experience heartbreak. And I can tell you now that that is not true. We are a human being, and I really respect Sean for coming on here and being able to talk to you guys about this. And I told him from the beginning, it does not have to be super personal. You can talk about whatever you feel comfortable talking about. So I don't want you guys to think that like I'm forcing him to talk about this stuff for, like against his will. This is all him. It's all completely unscripted.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah,
and it's rough because, I have to go to the neurologist every 3 months.
yeah,
I'm maxed out on my medication. So what that means is that now pretty much they do what they call Parkinson's management. So pretty much they just maintain me, keep me comfortable, keep me going. You know, if I'm having other side effects, they can possibly, help me out on that.
right,
Um, right now, I'm at the point in my Parkinson stage where I go through days where I can be fine. So I'll just give you an example. I can be sitting here talking to you right now, and then all of a sudden my mind will switch directions real quick, and I'll be like, "Where's my keys?" And then all of a sudden I'll be like, "Oh, you're out to get me. You want to take me away. You're gonna put me in a home. You're gonna, I'm getting what they call Lewy body dementia.
hmm,
I can remember things 30 years back, but if you ask me something that happened 2 weeks ago or a month ago, it's very fuzzy at times.
yeah. That's crazy. See, this is stuff I would have never known without talking to you because you know I know about Parkinson's, but I am not like super familiar with how bad it can really be. And I'm sure that there are people out there that probably do have it, really bad, and probably a lot worse than you. And I mean, it's just crazy to think that it's something that can just happen. It's something that can just consume you and just completely change your life in just a matter of moments.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I, I'm still I can still kind of look back to the day that I was told that I had Parkinson's. Excuse me, and it's still kind of a nightmare in a way.
Right.
Because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, is this really true? You know, I'm 39 years old, and and a lot of you probably know Michael J. Fox was in his early 30s when he got diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Yeah, he was.
Um, so a lot of people sit here and think, oh, Parkinson's is for old people. It's not. More and more younger people today are now getting diagnosed with Parkinson's, and they're linking it to so many things like, you know, where I lived in Ireland, I lived on, we had a farm in Ireland. So the first thing my neurologist asked me was it chemicals. Well, with me, we didn't use pesticides or anything. We were an organic farm.
Right.
So, that didn't cause it. But a lot of people don't realize it. If you're around a lot of chemicals, you can at any time be subjected to possibly, not guaranteed, to maybe get Parkinson's. Um, and for me, it was kind of like, huh, okay.
Right.
But mine was not because of chemicals. It was, just because of the way my body was, and I had all the characteristics. Like, Dustin, I have what they call a pill rolling tremor. So if you see somebody and you kind of think of somebody, and anybody out there, if you see somebody kind of taking your hand and do like a pill rolling type motion, um, that's one of the first concepts that people look at and they see, oh, Parkinson's. Um, because when I pick up a glass, it literally keeps shaking. It does not stop at all. So for me, I'm naturally left-handed, but sometimes I do pick things up with me right hand. So when I go out to a restaurant, I'm embarrassed because I don't like to take a glass in my hand because it starts shaking and then people start laughing at me.
And that's just wrong. And
Yeah, and mhm.
it's such an unfortunate reality in life that that's what our society is turned to. Like, we make fun of other people for something that they can't control. I'm sure that this isn't something you've ever wanted to deal with or ever experience in your life, and I'm sure before you were diagnosed with, you've probably had to deal with maybe people that had Parkinson's.
Yes. I actually, my grandfather had it, and my dad had it, so I watched both of them go through it. But also, I've helped people in the community as a police officer. I had a Parkinson's person one time that I pulled over because he was weaving all across the road, and first thing other officers thought was, he's drunk.
Of
We've got to get
course.
this guy off the road.
Right.
And when I approached the gentleman, once we finally got him pulled over, I looked at him and I saw the tremor and I saw how he was speaking. So I automatically knew that this particular gentleman had Parkinson's. He was not drunk. He was not intoxicated. Um, because that's the first thing that the police actually look at. They look at you and they're like, "Oh, you're stuttering, or you're walking funny, or you're swerving." I actually carry a card in my wallet that says, "I am not intoxicated. I have Parkinson's."
Right.
So, and then it has all my information on that. So that way people can be like, "Ding ding, he's not drunk."
Right.
Um, Parkinson's is one of those ones that, and not all Parkinson's people have tremors. That's another thing. Parkinson's isn't just tremors. Um, we get what we call dystonia, which is rigidity, to where, like, my right arm, I used to have pretty much good full contact, with my right arm strength. I was able to move it, hold a fire hose, do whatever.
Right.
But now I can barely lift my right arm. Um, the strength in my right arm has decreased in it and the reason why is because it's so rigid. There's days where I can wake up and I feel like a Mack truck ran over me.
Right.
At nighttime I have restless legs. I have tears really bad, and that's also with Parkinson's, not just PTSD too. Parkinson's causes night tears. So it can get a little rough sometimes.
I can imagine. And
Um,
night terrors are not
yeah,
something that's
yeah,
fun. I've definitely experienced a couple in my lifetime, and it's a pretty scary thing, to be honest with you.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Um, what do you want to do the floor in here?
I was gonna
Do you want me?
I was gonna do dark oak.
You want to do dark oak?
Yes.
Okay. You want me to go ahead and start laying that right in this area?
Yeah. Go ahead. Just go ahead and dig
Okay.
down a block and do that. I've never
All right.
built modern before. I mean, I have, but this is first time in a very, 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 very long time. Probably like 5 years. So I'm not really sure how this is turning out, but
I actually like the modern house. It's kind of a nice style. So
it is. It is a very nice style.
yeah. Um, the nice thing about me getting this power chair on Friday, it's gonna make my life easier to where I can now get out and enjoy life.
Right.
Have kind of like some independent freedom back, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I completely understand.
Um, Exercise is very important with people with Parkinson's. So I'm actually going to hopefully be starting soon. Um, they have a thing called boxing for Parkinson's, and it's what it is. Basically it's a class that teaches people to box.
That'd be cool.
And the reason for the boxing is not so we can, beat other people up and become the next Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson,
Right.
but it's to keep our arms moving and keep our upper strength to where we don't lose that. And it also just gives us exercise in general, and it helps with mental health issues as well. So
And
I'm
that's
kind of
awesome.
excited. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about doing it. And I'm hoping one day. I'm still trying to get the nerve to do an actual video. But I like to possibly, when I do start doing it, maybe do like vlogs on it and stuff,
Hmm.
and keep people updated. Kind of like from the first day. Hey, this is day one. So that might be something that I might be interested in doing.
Right. Just so people
So
can kind of see, the transformation and how far you've come along with it.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I will be doing a video on me getting my new chair on Friday. So, I'll be sharing that for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Send me a link and I'll be sure to tweet it out. And
yeah, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. One of the biggest things right now that I'm in the process of needing to get, and my neurologist says that I need to, is a service dog.
yes, which actually is something I was just
Um,
gonna bring up. There is a link to a GoFundMe to help Sean get a service dog because if you guys don't know, it's very pricey, which I don't think is fair. He has a disability that he can't control, and a service dog is something that is needed for him. So if you guys want to check out his GoFundMe, I know he would really appreciate it, and I would really appreciate it. Even if you guys can't give a lot, just something. Every little dollar will help.
yes. Yeah, the average cost alone of just a service dog is $8,000.
It's
And
insane.
then, yeah, and then training on top of that is another $20,000 to $25,000.
And I'm sure there's no medical insurance that that helps this either. It's probably like
No, yeah, it's not a covered thing, so it's not something that you can just go to your insurance company and say, "Oh, hey, I need you to cover service dog,"
right.
because they look at you like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Hmm.
um, it's kind of sad in a way. Oh, sorry about
It
that. I
is.
forgot that part.
No, you're okay. I
Um,
actually just moved the steps back. That's all it was.
oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, you know, it, a service dog, for Parkinson's people is something that would definitely help my life,
Right.
because what service dogs do for Parkinson's people, they help you with mobility. They help you to be able to move around. Um, they help you to also retrieve things, like with Parkinson's, because I mentioned just a few minutes ago where I go out or just even at home and I hold things with my right hand, they drop all the time. So
Right.
if I drop something, the service dog will be able to go over to it, pick it up, and bring it back to me. Will also be able to, if I am standing up, walking around. Parkinson's people do what they call a freeze. And what that means is we can take a couple steps and then all of a sudden our nerves will shut off and it'll be like, oh, our body's not moving. The service dog can detect that and basically do what they call a nudge, come up behind us and push us. And it will kind of jumpstart our nerves, and which will then say to the brain, "Oh, ding, 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 you need to start walking."
That's kind of crazy, like
So,
how
yeah,
extensive. And I'm sure that that training for the dog is also very extensive, and I could see why it costs so much money.
it,
But you think there would be some kind of backing and some kind of help for something like that? Because it's ridiculous.
it is ridiculous, and and so many people actually have been, trying to get people to fund it. But what happened? Now there are some agencies out there that will actually grant people service dogs. But the thing is, in my area where I live, I am outside of their service area.
Mm,
So, and what that means is they have dogs ready to go, but because I live outside their area, they can't help because their trainer will not drive 100 miles to someone's house.
right.
So I'm automatically disqualified at that point. And then there's other people out there, that have, and I hate saying this word, but puppy mills, that you can buy a puppy from and then do the training yourself, but you do that and you're running into a lot of issues.
Yes.
So, um, it's always best to, if you're going to get a service dog, you've got to get it from someone reputable.
Yes.
You know, and and you literally have to do a lot of investigative work on those people to make sure that they are trained to handle the dog, because the training is so extensive. It's almost a 13-week training program that I have to go through, with the service animal once I'm able to finally get one, and then from there, um, we have to do what we call a public test. So the dog will have to be taken out in public, because I don't know if anybody out there has ever seen a service dog, but a normal service dog will not bark or lunge at someone. And it kills me because I'm watching all these bloody people anymore out there that take their dog into a store and act like it's a service dog when it's not.
Right.
That just irritates me so bad, because your personal pet is not your service dog.
Right.
Um, yeah, and a lot of people don't realize. They're like, well, why does the dog have to be trained? Well, just for things that I just said.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's kind of like a canine dog for the sheriff's department or the police department. They have to be trained to be able to sniff out drugs and things like that, you know? So,
Right. Because you don't want to get a
um,
dog and then the dog
mhm.
not be able to perform what you need it to perform. You know, like if you have an episode and the dog can't help you, you know, then what? Now you're just stuck with a dog that can't do what you need it to do.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, and for Parkinson's, it's a lot more advanced training
Right.
than, let's say, a seeing eye dog for a blind person.
Right. Because the dog has to know certain triggers and learn what, like, you know, if you
Hmm.
go into an episode, like what's actually going on, the dog has to be able to tell. And yeah, I mean, I can now see why that this is also so crazy for you and why it's so expensive.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And, you know, because a lot, and, you know, a lot of people think, oh, well, you know, it's not this expensive. If you were to go on and you were to Google, you know, how much a service dog cost, and then look at all the stuff associated with it, you would understand of how frustrating it is.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so because even if I was just to get a regular dog, you know, per se, in the Pacific, and this is another thing with Parkinson's, we have to have either a golden doodle or a labradoodle because of the size that they get, and also they're hypoallergenic.
Hmm.
So like our kids have allergies to dogs. So the golden doodle and labradoodle do not have the allergies that most dogs have. So we were that, you know, because I have to think about my family too, not just me.
Right.
Um, you know, because A, the dog's got to be able to get along with the kids, and if the kids are wild, the dog has to be able to still stay calm because the dog's still working.
Yes.
If that makes sense,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
does. And you know,
So,
now
yeah.
having, you know, being with somebody that has a family, you know, I understand, you know, like how animals and you know, I kids can be, you know, like they're kids. They play hard.
Hmm.
They're rough. You know, that's what kids do. And I think yes, like you obviously have to take in consideration what is best for your family. You know, like
Hmm.
you don't want to get a dog that, you know, if the kids, you know, mess with, that the dog's not going to attack.
Right.
And I mean, I could see how that could be like you know, like they're your kids. You know, your kids are going to come first no matter what.
Exactly. And if the dog is not a match for my family, then well, it's not going to work.
Right.
So,
And that's a lot of money for
yeah.
that dog not to work out, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's not cheap. So, you know, as I said.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's just crazy. And I hope you guys watching this, you know, you may understand a little more. You know, I'm sure in school you probably hear about Parkinson's and stuff like that, but that's why I wanted to have Sean on here again, just because it's like he can really kind of you get the whole truth from somebody that's living with it, you know. And yeah,
yeah.
man, it's just it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy just how expensive and how, you know, serious this whole thing is. And it's sad because it is something you need, you know.
Hmm.
It's just I'm almost at a loss for words. Like I've learned so much in the short time that we've been talking. It's heartbreaking. Like it
It's
really
there's
is.
days where it is, and I appreciate that. I mean, there's days where I don't know how I go on some days.
Right.
You know, I don't know how I do it. But I have to remember one of my buddies told me when I first got diagnosed, you may have Parkinson's, but it doesn't have you.
Right. You got to be stronger than that. You know, like
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those things where you just kind of have to accept it for what it is, because I mean, ultimately, what other choice do you have? You know, you have to accept it for what it is and just, you know, kind of live with, like, you know, I mean, obviously you have to live with it, but you can't let something like that deter you from living your life and being happy. So no, I completely
Right.
understand. And that's how I feel about depression and anxiety too. Like, I suffer with depression, I suffer with anxiety. I absolutely despise it. I really do. It bugs me that I get
Hmm.
so, you know, like, worked up over things, and like, it's just, I accept it. Like, I understand, like, okay, this is, you know, this is a part of my life, but I can either sit back and let it consume me, or I can go out and live my life and have fun and spend time with my family. And, you know, that's what I've chosen to do. And some days, you know, I'm sure, like with your Parkinson, some days it's, you know, some days are easier than others.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not always easy. So
Right, but honestly, man,
it's
I
it,
can tell
it
you from the short time that I've known you that you are a trooper, and you embrace it, and you're so open and so honest about it. And I honestly think that's like a great step to recovery for some people. You know, is just confronting it head on and saying, yes, you know, like, this is now a part of my life, but again, I'm not gonna let it slow me down, regardless of how hard it
right.
gets. And I admire you for that, because I would imagine it's, you know, it's nothing easy to experience.
No, no, it's not. And I just wish that, in a way, I wished I didn't have it. Period. You know.
Right.
Um, but there's things that, unfortunately, with life, we can't always control.
Exactly. You know, and that's the thing about life,
So
is it throws curveballs at you. You know.
yeah, it does. It literally does, and a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, they're like, "Oh well, uh, you've got this," yeah, whoop-de-doo,
Right.
And I'm one of these type of people where, and I don't know if anyone's heard this saying, but not all wounds are visible.
That's right.
Not all diseases are visible.
Right.
So, that's kind of something for a lot of people. If you don't know that saying, just kind of sit back and think about it. Um, Another thing that really gets me too is bullying. I hate bullying.
Yeah,
That, yeah,
it
it
that's a big
annoys me
thing.
more than anything.
Right.
Yeah. Um, I'll share with you. I mean, I actually was bullied the other day. I was coming out of my um therapy, and I slipped getting into the van, and there was a group of teenagers that was standing over in the corner outside, and they kind of started laughing and pointing at me. And they're like, "Oh man, get up off the ground. You can do better than that." And they're like, "If you don't know how to walk, then just don't stop walking."
Yeah, and that's ignorant. Like, that is just wrong on so many levels. But again, it's, you know, it's just that unfortunate part of society. Like, that's just how it is. And, you know, kids are
Mm-hmm.
unbelievably disrespectful nowadays. And I don't get me wrong. There were times in my life growing up that I thought, you know, maybe I'm not like the best kid in the world, and I wasn't. And but I see kids nowadays and how they talk to people and how they treat their parents. And it's like, you know, if I ever like would have talked to my parents the way some of these kids do, I'd be picking my teeth up off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just, it blows my mind. Like, it's
Yeah.
absolutely like, it's disgusting.
It is. I mean, in society today, I mean, it's changed from when I grew up to what it is now.
Right.
Um, it just changed so much, and it's we. even as an adult though, I still have fun. I mean, hell, I play Xbox all the time, so I enjoy it. But
Right.
um, but you have to know where to draw the line on having fun. You know,
Right.
you and with my Parkinson's, you know, even as a firefighter, when I had the Parkinson's, I was still fighting fires. But all my brothers, because with the fire services and even with the police and EMS and military, it's a brotherhood.
It is.
And when I first got diagnosed and I told my fellow people at the fire brigade, they looked at me and they were like, Sean, you've got this, we're with you. And I continued to fight fires, even once I was diagnosed, because at that point, the early stages of Parkinson's, it's okay.
Yeah.
The first 5 years, you're still able to go out there and do things, live your life, do things, because exercise and doing things that you normally do is what really keeps you going, and it kind of slows the progression of Parkinson's down.
Right.
But in my case, I was only able to do it for 3 years afterwards, and then it got to the point where I couldn't pick the hose up anymore. I couldn't pick up a Halligan bar anymore. I couldn't pick up a pike pole anymore. I couldn't ventilate a house during a house fire. And when I couldn't be able to do that anymore, that's when it really just sunk into me, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, you at least you understood, like, maybe it's my time, maybe this is, I have to give it up for a while. And, I think along with accepting, that, like, it's a part of your life and something you have to live with, that's another hard thing to do, is accept that, what you love to do is coming to an end, and it's just inevitable.
Yeah. And it did hurt. I mean, I hated saying that I've got to turn in my gear and hang this up.
Right.
And every time the tone drops or I see a fire engine go out now, I'm jealous.
Oh yeah.
Because I want to be on that engine, or if I see one of my fellow police officers in the area, hey, I want to, be in there, cop car.
Yep.
And it sucks. So I'm hoping that, once I start this boxing class for Parkinson's, that it gets me pepped up a little bit more, but also just having this power chair, that I'm getting on Friday, that alone is just going to give me a lot more independence and freedom to go outside the house, to be able to do things, to be able to visit with people, and maybe not feel so bad about myself.
Right.
The other night, something bad happened, which I said I won't talk about, but
right.
I got to the point where I was just over things, and I was talking to a good friend of mine in New Zealand, and she's a paramedic, and she was telling me, because I told her, I said I felt like a failure in life, and I felt like I failed at everything, and she's like, no, she's like, Sean, you didn't fail, the job failed you. And and it's true, because the job did fail us because of everything that we had to go through, right. and live with and still see today.
Right.
And I kind of had to sit back for a second, kind of think, well, is that true? But then I'm like, yeah, it kind of is true. So
yeah, it's,
I don't,
I have those friends too, like, that I go to for a lot, and sometimes just having, like, an outsider's perspective on things can really change your judgment and change the way you feel about certain situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Parkinson's. I have a support group that I'm getting ready to join, and for people who have Parkinson's as well. And I'm kind of getting ready to be excited to kind of hear what they went through, when they first got diagnosed,
Right.
and also I'm looking forward to sharing my story as well. Um, because as you said, each person with Parkinson's is different. It's not the same
Right.
in every case. Um, so I'm kind of looking forward to that um, interaction of things with people, to kind of see, hey, what did you go through?
Right. And it might help you look at like your situations a lot differently too. You might be like,
Yeah.
oh well, maybe what I went through really isn't that bad. I really hope it
Hmm.
works out for you. I really do. I'm glad that this stuff is happening now. We just need to get you that service dog. That's the next big thing.
Yes. Yeah, that service dog, it would mean the world to me.
Right.
If I'm able to get it. I mean, you know, it, it would, and if anybody does donate to it, I thank you in advance, for it because, it does mean a lot. So,
Yeah. Even if you guys, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but even if you guys just check it out and share the link, that would be awesome. But I hate to cut this short, but I gotta go eat some chicken wings with my family. So
that's right.
yes, I'm excited. Thank you for joining me, Sean. You are an incredible human being and a very big inspiration to
Thank you,
me.
buddy.
And I just want to let you know,
Yeah.
like, the first time I ever saw your comment, and I have one question to you for you too before we go. But
Sure.
when I saw your comment
Sure.
about how my content has helped you and kind of combat those those issues and those like all just the bad things that you found kind of like a salvation through my YouTube channel, that honestly means the world to me. There is no you cannot put a monetary value on how much like your comment has impacted me as a person and made me want to keep this whole YouTube thing going, because it's people like you for the reason like are the reason I do what I do, and I thank you for that.
You're very welcome, and I meant every word I said. So, you,
So my
like I
question
said, you don't, yeah. Yeah, sure.
my question is, I want to ask everybody this: how did you come across my YouTube channel? I always like learning.
Hmm. Well, my answer to you would I've watched a lot of your tutorials from way back, but I never commented,
Right.
because I've always just, to me, you just building things and hearing you talk about life and talking about things in general, it just kind of sunk in, and it was kind of like, I finally got to that point where I'm like, okay, I've got to say something to Dustin and let him know
Hmm.
why I enjoy him so much.
Oh, I really appreciate it.
um, yeah. So, like I said, you've inspired me. And to anybody that is not following Dustin, please follow him. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button to him, and follow him because he's great.
Thank you.
So,
You just did my outro better than me.
yeah. Well, thank you.
All right, man. Well,
So,
it was great talking to you. Thank you for coming on here and
yeah, you as well.
explaining, your
Thanks.
life and kind of the stuff you've been through. Keep being awesome, and I'm sure we will play video games here in the very near future when I'm not working like a madman.
Exactly. I hear you there, buddy.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you later. Guys, thank
All right, man.
you so much for watching this video. Please show Sean's GoFundMe some love, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.